The threat of ISIS was something that was very scary to a lot of Americans and needed to be stopped.
Hello, everyone. This is a historic day, and I have here with me Senior Advisor Jared Kushner, Ambassador Robert O'Brien. They're going to summarize the history that was made today and take a few of your questions. We also have Special Representative Avi Berkowitz here and Special Envoy to Iran, Brian Hook, who will be in attendance.
Thank you, Kaylee, and thank you all for being here. I want to start today by congratulating the people of Israel and the people of the United Arab Emirates. Today is a historic breakthrough and a great day for peace. I also want to congratulate President Trump on this milestone. He worked very hard on this with his team. We worked with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, who really are two visionary leaders who made a big step forward today to really change the region. The last time we had an agreement like this in the region was 1994, when Israel made an agreement with the Kingdom of Jordan, which stopped aggression and helped bring forward peace. Over the last 26 years, there's been a lot of developments in the region, some positive, but many that have set the region back, and it has led to lots of lives being lost, lots of opportunity and hope being destroyed, and a region that really has had a lot of problems. When President Trump came into office, we had a caliphate for ISIS in the Middle East, which was the size of Ohio. We had a lot of instability. Iran's aggression was being felt all throughout the region. A lot of their proxies were very well funded and causing instability in Yemen and in Syria and in other places. And now we're in a position where we've been able to work with our allies. A lot of our allies felt abandoned. President Trump's been able to rebuild those relationships. His first trip as president was to Saudi Arabia in May of 2017, where he laid out the problems that were facing the region and very clearly articulated that in order to make progress, we'd all have to work together around common goals, and we'd have to acknowledge historic differences and historic conflicts, but we can't let those conflicts hold us back. President Trump's leadership, the ability to build the relationships with the leaders in the region, people were modernizing their society and realizing that we needed a new paradigm. On President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia, we made an agreement with a lot of these countries that we were going to start a counter-terror finance center, and since then we've worked to limit the amount of funding that's gone to extremist groups. We worked with Saudi Arabia, which is the custodian of the two holy sites, and we worked with them to do a counter-extremism center to combat online extremism, and that's made a big difference because you can't solve the short-term problem without taking on the long-term fight. We've seen Saudi Arabia make a lot of modernizations over the last years, giving more rights to women and taking steps in the right direction, which have been very positive. And now today's breakthrough really allows us to go forward. To give you a little bit of background on this deal, this is something that's been in discussions now for over a year and a half. We were talking with Israel, we were talking with United Arab Emirates about moving forward. Obviously, because of the Israeli elections and because of some other things that were happening in the region, this is something that was talked about but never really got to the right place for it to happen. As you know, with deals happen when deals are ready, and peace deals are very rare and very historic, and there's a lot of reasons why people would be held back from moving forward. What we saw was when the president rolled out his vision for peace, which we worked very hard on for a couple of years to really try to understand the issues in the region between the Israelis, the Palestinians. He put forward 180 pages of detail on how we can address the issues of the past, but also figure out how to move forward. During that acknowledgement, President Trump was able to get Israel to agree to have a two-state solution with the Palestinians, and for the first time in history to agree to a map that outlined the territory that they would be willing to work with in order to see that happen. That showed a lot of people in the region that Israel was serious about really moving forward and making peace, and also showed them that President Trump's leadership and diplomacy could make things happen that hadn't happened previously. What happened is, as Israel was discussing with us, providing, taking Israeli law and sovereignty to areas of the West Bank and applying it. We were having these discussions, and over the last 6 weeks, the discussions between UAE and Israel started accelerating around this being a potential different path. We all saw Ambassador Oteba's op-ed that came out that said that he thought applying Israeli sovereignty to these areas would be detrimental to the region. And a new course, a new option was created that was discussed that ultimately both countries thought was a much more viable option to go forward. Israel's agreed to suspend those efforts at this time, and as a result, we're going to focus on bringing these two countries together. This is really a historic breakthrough, and it shows that President Trump's leadership from the Riyadh speech till today, you see a much different Middle East than what he inherited, and hopefully there's a lot more good things to come. This is an icebreaker between these two countries. This is the first Arab country to normalize relations with Israel in a long time, 26 years since Jordan. And what we're going to hopefully see from there is more countries start to do the same. The final thing I'll just say is that here in America, the biggest threat that we saw in the last campaign was really two things. One was ISIS. The caliphate was growing. We were seeing journalists being beheaded. We were seeing people burnt in cages. And the threat of ISIS was something that was very scary to a lot of Americans and needed to be stopped. The instability was providing a place for extremists to plan attacks, to plan all kinds of terrible things, and the extremists were trying to radicalize the next generation. One of the biggest excuses that extremists use to radicalize the next generation is the mosque and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and saying that it's being threatened and the fact that Muslims aren't able to pray there. This deal will allow for flights from Dubai and Abu Dhabi to Tel Aviv, which will allow Muslims a real entree to come and visit Israel peacefully and to come and pray at the mosque with whatever frequency they deem appropriate. This is a big breakthrough. As people go there and pray and see that this is available, they'll share it with their friends and they'll share the experiences. They'll share pictures of it on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And people throughout the world will see that the mosque is safe and that all people are welcome there. So this is a really great step forward for the region, a great step forward for the country, and a great step forward for the world. And again, I just want to really compliment the three leaders who worked very hard to make this possible. Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed of Abu Dhabi, and President Trump here in America. Thank you.